The stars trembled as 10,000 warships moved through space like a dark cloud of death. Each ship was massive, some larger than Earth's biggest cities. They belonged to the hegemony of Zephyria, the most powerful force the galaxy had ever known. For 1,000 years, they had conquered world after world. No one could stop them. Admiral Vexthai stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Worldbreaker. His 4 eyes studied the data screen showing the small blue planet ahead. Earth looked so peaceful from here, spinning slowly in the black void. The Admiral's scaled skin rippled with amusement. This would be easy. "Report," he commanded in his deep, rumbling voice. Commander Zekon, a tall, insect-like being with 6 arms, approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, our scouts confirm the humans are primitive. They barely reached their own moon a century ago. Their weapons are simple chemical explosives and basic nuclear devices. Their largest ships are smaller than our escape pods." Vexthai laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "And they dare to call themselves a spacefaring species. How many ships defend this world?" "Perhaps 200, Admiral. Small craft with crude weapons. Our intelligence shows they call them destroyers and cruisers, though they would not qualify as scout ships in our fleet." The Admiral walked to the massive viewing window. Before him stretched the largest invasion force ever assembled. Ships from 12 different species floated in perfect formation. The crystalline vessels of the Netherians gleamed like deadly jewels. The bioships of the Vorthak pulsed with living armor. The angular metal warships of his own people, the Zephyrians, bristled with weapons that could crack planets. "Tell me about their defenses," Vexthai said. Zekon's mandibles clicked nervously. "Minimal, Admiral. They have some orbital stations around their homeworld. Their weapons appear to be projectile-based, metal slugs fired at high speed, some basic energy weapons, but nothing that could penetrate our shields. Energy output? Negligible. Our smallest frigate produces more power than their largest battle station." Vexthai nodded. It was always the same story. Young species thought they were strong until they met the hegemony. Then they learned the truth about the universe. The strong ruled, and the weak served or died. The hegemony had perfected this lesson. Their energy weapons could turn mountains to glass. Their quantum torpedoes could destabilize the very fabric of space itself. Their shields had never been breached in 1,000 years of conquest. Each of their warships carried enough firepower to level a continent. "Admiral," called out the navigation officer, "we have reached the edge of their system. Shall we begin the approach?" "Yes. Standard formation. I want them to see exactly what they face." The fleet moved forward like a living thing. The smaller ships formed the outer edge, 5,000 vessels that would be considered massive by human standards. Behind them came the heavy cruisers, each one a floating fortress. At the center moved the dreadnoughts, ships so large they had their own gravity fields. Vexthai had conquered 73 worlds. He had seen brave species fight to the last breath and cowardly ones surrender before a shot was fired. But they all ended the same way, kneeling before the might of the hegemony. "Send the standard message," he ordered. The communications officer, a being made of living gas contained in a mechanical suit, activated the transmitters. The message went out, in every language the hegemony had encountered, translated by their vast databases. "People of Earth, you are now subjects of the hegemony of Zephyria. Surrender immediately and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and your world will burn for days before you are allowed to die. You have one of your hours to decide." Vexthai expected panic. He expected desperate transmissions begging for mercy. He expected the humans to realize how hopeless their situation was. Instead, something strange happened. "Admiral," the communications officer said, his voice puzzled. "They are responding." "Already? Let me hear it." A new voice filled the bridge, clear, calm, and speaking in the human language called English. The translation system worked quickly. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We have received your message and formally reject your demands. Earth will defend itself." Silence fell across the bridge. Vexathai's officers looked at each other in confusion. After a moment, the Admiral began to laugh. "Did they not see our fleet?" he asked. "Perhaps their sensors are more primitive than we thought." "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "detecting movement from the human homeworld. One ship is launching." "One ship?" Vexathai moved to the sensor station. "Show me." The main display showed a single vessel emerging from Earth's orbital defenses. It was small, perhaps 300 meters long. Compared to the hegemony fleet, it looked like a minnow swimming toward a school of sharks. "Is this some kind of joke?" Commander Zekon asked. "One ship against our entire fleet?" The human vessel moved with surprising speed, heading directly toward them. It showed no fear, no hesitation. It flew straight at 10,000 warships as if it had a chance of winning. "Perhaps it carries a message of surrender," suggested the communications officer. "Or it is a suicide attack," added Zekon. "Some species prefer death to slavery." Vexathai studied the approaching ship with growing interest. Something felt wrong about this situation. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen such confidence from a hopeless enemy. "Full scan of that vessel," he ordered. The sensor officer worked quickly. "Admiral, the readings are strange. The ship appears to be made of conventional metals, but there are energy patterns I do not recognize. The power signature is unlike anything in our databases." "Weapons?" "Unknown, sir. The energy patterns are too alien to identify specific systems." The Admiral frowned. The hegemony had fought thousands of species. Their databases contained information about every known weapon type in the galaxy. For something to be completely unrecognizable was almost impossible. "Time to intercept?" 17 minutes at current speed, Admiral." Vexathai made his decision. "Signal the fleet, battle stations. If these humans want to die fighting, we will grant their wish." Across the vast fleet, 10,000 warships powered their weapons. Energy coils began to glow. Torpedo tubes loaded their devastating cargo. Shield generators hummed to life. The small human ship continued its approach, outnumbered, 50 million to 1. But it did not slow down, did not change course, did not show any sign of recognizing the impossible odds it faced. Deep in his heart, Admiral Vexathai felt something he had not experienced in decades of conquest. For the first time in a very long time, he wondered if he had made a mistake. The human ship was only 16 minutes away. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the ESV Defiance, watching the alien fleet grow larger on her screens. She had seen the intelligence reports. 10,000 ships, each one massive beyond human understanding. The largest alien vessel was bigger than Manhattan Island. Her ship was different. The Defiance was only 300 meters long and carried a crew of 200. By alien standards, it was tiny. But Sarah knew something the aliens did not. Size did not always matter. "Captain," said Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications station, "the alien fleet is powering weapons. Energy readings are off the charts." "Expected," Sarah replied calmly. "Dr. Vasquez, status report." Dr. Elena Vasquez looked up from her console. The chief physicist was a small woman with gray hair, but her mind contained secrets that could change the galaxy. "All systems are functioning perfectly, Captain. The entropy field is stable and ready for deployment." "Good. How long until we reach their fleet?" 14 minutes, reported the navigation officer. Sarah walked to the center of the bridge. Around her, 200 of Earth's best and brightest worked at their stations. They knew what they were flying into. They knew the odds, but not one of them showed fear. The Defiance was humanity's greatest secret. For 50 years, Earth's scientists had worked on a problem that the galaxy's greatest minds had declared impossible. While alien species built bigger guns and stronger shields, humans had taken a completely different path. Dr. Vasquez, Sarah, said, "Explain to the bridge crew what we are about to show the galaxy." Elena stood up, looking around at the faces of her colleagues. "Everyone here knows about entropy, the force that makes everything in the universe move toward disorder. Hot things cool down, complex things break apart, order becomes chaos. It is the most fundamental law of physics." The crew listened intently. They had heard this lecture before, but it never stopped being amazing. "Other species learned to work with entropy," Elena continued. "They built weapons that create more disorder, explosions, heat, destruction. They built defenses that try to maintain order, shields, armor, barriers. But humans asked a different question. What if we could make entropy run backward?" On the main screen, the alien fleet continued to grow larger. Weapons that could destroy planets were pointed directly at them. 50 years ago, Dr. Marcus Webb at the Geneva Institute made a breakthrough. He discovered that under very specific conditions, entropy could be locally reversed. Instead of moving toward disorder, matter and energy could be forced back toward perfect order. Lieutenant Rodriguez raised his hand. "Doctor, what does that mean in practical terms?" Elena smiled. "It means that around this ship, destruction becomes impossible. Damage repairs itself. Chaos becomes order. Energy that tries to harm us instead makes us stronger." The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this information. They understood the theory, but seeing it in action would be something else entirely. "Captain," called the sensor officer, "the alien fleet is moving into attack formation. I count weapon systems on every ship." Sarah nodded. "Open a channel to the fleet." "Channel open, Captain." Sarah's voice was calm and steady as she spoke to the alien force. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Defiance. I am speaking to Admiral Vextai of the Hegemony Fleet. You have entered Earth's star system with hostile intent. You have 30 seconds to retreat from this system or face the consequences." The response came quickly, translated by the ship's computers. Admiral Vexthai's voice was filled with amusement and contempt. "Captain Chen, I admire your courage, but you are facing the might of 10,000 warships. Your single vessel cannot possibly stand against us. I offer you one final chance to surrender." "Admiral," Sarah replied, "you have been warned. What happens next is your choice." She cut the communication and turned to her crew. "All stations prepare for combat. Dr. Vasquez, bring the entropy field to full power." "Yes, Captain. Entropy. Field at maximum strength. All systems ready." Through the main viewer, they could see the alien fleet spreading out in attack formation. Energy weapons began to glow with deadly light. Torpedo tubes opened like hungry mouths. It was the most terrifying sight any human had ever witnessed. "Captain," said the communications officer, "incoming transmission from Earth Command. Put it through." Admiral Chen's father appeared on the screen. Admiral David Chen, head of Earth's Defense Council, looked worried but proud. "Sarah, the whole world is watching. Whatever happens, know that Earth believes in you and your crew." "Thank you, Admiral. We will not let Earth down." The transmission ended. Sarah looked around at her bridge crew. These men and women represented the best of humanity. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers who had volunteered for a mission that could save their world or end in complete disaster. "Captain," the sensor officer announced, "the alien fleet is beginning their attack run. Multiple energy signatures building to critical levels. Dr. Vasquez, confirm field status. Entropy field stable and ready, Captain. Whatever they throw at us, the universe itself will protect us." Sarah sat down in her command chair. The moment of truth had arrived. Humanity was about to reveal its greatest secret to a galaxy that thought humans were primitive and weak. "All hands, "This is the captain," she announced over the ship's communication system. "In 30 seconds, we will face the largest military force in galactic history. We are one ship against 10,000. But we carry with us the hopes of every human who has ever lived and the dreams of everyone who will live in the future. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity can achieve." On the screen, the alien weapons reached full power, energy that could. Crack Planets was about to be unleashed. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez said quietly, "they are about to fire." "I see it. All hands, brace for impact." The alien fleet fired as one. 1,000 ships unleashed their most powerful weapons simultaneously. Energy beams that could cut through planets, quantum torpedoes that could tear holes in space itself, and particle streams that could sterilize entire moons, all streaked toward the tiny human ship. Sarah watched calmly as enough destructive force to end a civilization rushed toward them at the speed of light. In seconds, they would either prove humanity's greatest achievement or die trying. "Here we go," she whispered. The weapons fire reached the Defiance in a blaze of light that should have ended all life aboard the small human ship. Energy beams capable of melting continents struck first, followed by quantum torpedoes that could tear holes in the fabric of space itself. Particle streams that had destroyed entire fleets in the past converged on the tiny vessel, and then something impossible happened. The devastating energy simply stopped, not deflected, not absorbed. It ceased to exist as a destructive force. Around the Defiance, reality itself seemed to change. The deadly weapons became harmless light that faded away like morning mist. Admiral Vexathai stared at his sensors in complete shock. "Report! What happened to our weapons?" The sensor officer's voice trembled with confusion. "Admiral, the weapons reached the target, but they had no effect. The energy readings show the weapons struck something, but there is no damage." "Impossible!" Vexathai roared. "No shield can stop a quantum torpedo." "Sir, it was not a shield. The weapons seemed to stop working when they got close to the human ship." On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Chen smiled as her crew cheered. Around them, the air sparkled with strange energy patterns as the entropy field did its work. "Dr. Vasquez, excellent work. Report on field status." Elena looked at her readings with wonder. Even though she had designed the system, seeing it work against such massive firepower was amazing. "Captain, the entropy field is performing perfectly. The alien weapons are trying to create disorder, explosions, heat, destruction. But in our field, entropy runs backward. Disorder becomes order. Destruction becomes creation." Lieutenant Rodriguez studied his console. "Doctor, my readings show that we actually got stronger when they fired at us." "Exactly," Elena said excitedly. "Their energy weapons fed power directly into our systems. The more they attack us, the more powerful we become." Aboard the Worldbreaker, Admiral Vexathai was experiencing something he had never felt before: panic. In 1,000 years of conquest, the hegemony had never encountered anything like this. "Commander Zekon, order all ships to fire again. Maximum power, every weapon we have." "Yes, Admiral." The insect-like commander sent the orders across the fleet. This time, 5,000 ships fired together. The combined energy output was enough to destroy a small star. Beams of pure force, antimatter torpedoes, gravity bombs, and weapons that twisted space itself all struck the human vessel at once. The result was the same. The weapons simply stopped working when they got close to the Defiance. Worse, the human ship now glowed with absorbed energy. It was getting stronger. "This is impossible." Vexathai slammed his fist on his command console. "Nothing can survive that much firepower." "Admiral," the communications officer said nervously, "we are receiving a transmission from the human ship." "Put it through." Captain Chen's calm face appeared on the screen. Behind her, the bridge of the Defiance looked completely normal. No damage, no signs of stress, no indication that they had just survived an attack that could end civilizations. "Admiral Vexthai," she said pleasantly, "thank you for the energy boost. Your weapons have recharged our systems nicely. Would you like to try again, or shall we move to the next phase?" Vexthai could not speak. His scaled face had turned pale with shock. Around him, his bridge crew stared at their instruments in disbelief. On the human ship, Dr. Vasquez was explaining to her crew exactly what the aliens were experiencing. You see, every weapon they use is based on increasing entropy, creating more disorder. Explosions scatter matter. Heat increases, molecular motion. Radiation breaks apart atomic bonds. All of these things increase chaos in the universe. She gestured to the strange patterns of light flowing around the ship. But our entropy field reverses this process. When their weapons try to create disorder, our field forces everything back toward perfect order. The more chaos they try to create, the more ordered everything becomes. "Doctor," asked one of the young officers, "does this mean we are invincible?" Elena paused thoughtfully. "As long as they attack us with weapons designed to increase entropy, yes. Their energy feeds our field and makes us stronger. It is like trying to put out a fire by throwing gasoline on it." Captain Chen opened another channel to the alien fleet. "Admiral, I will give you one more demonstration of what your fleet is facing." She nodded to Dr. Vasquez, who activated a new system. Suddenly, the space around the Defiance began to shimmer with visible energy. The entropy field expanded outward in a sphere of strange light. Any piece of space debris touched by the field was instantly restored to perfect condition. Broken asteroids reformed themselves. Scattered cosmic dust gathered into neat, ordered patterns. Even the vacuum of space seemed to become more organized. "Admiral," Chen continued, "what you are seeing is entropy running in reverse. This is what happens to anything that tries to damage us. Your weapons do not just fail, they make us stronger. The harder you fight, the more impossible your situation becomes." Vexthai found his voice at last. "What? What are you?" "We are humans, Admiral, and we have learned to make the universe itself fight for us." The alien commander turned to his science officer, a being with a massive brain visible through transparent skull plates. "Explain this! How is it possible?" The science officer worked frantically at his console. "Admiral, their technology is completely unknown to us. They appear to have mastered localized entropy reversal. I thought this was impossible, but the evidence is clear." "What does that mean for our fleet?" "It means, Admiral, that every weapon we possess will only make them stronger. Our energy weapons feed their power systems. Our explosives repair any damage they might have. Our quantum torpedoes actually stabilize their ship's structure." "Then how do we fight them?" The science officer was quiet for a long moment. "I do not believe we can, Admiral. They have found a way to make war itself impossible." Captain Chen's voice came over the communications again. "Admiral Vexthai, your fleet has 30 seconds to begin withdrawing from this system. If you do not comply, we will demonstrate our offensive capabilities." Vexthai looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These beings had conquered most of the galaxy. They had faced impossible odds before and always won. But they had never faced anything like this. The humans had not just built a better weapon or a stronger shield. They had changed the fundamental rules of combat. They had made it so that attacking them was literally impossible. "Sir," Commander Zekhan said quietly, "perhaps we should consider their terms." "Never!" Vexthai roared. "The hegemony does not retreat. All ships, fire everything. Use every weapon we have." Across the vast fleet, 10,000 ships unleashed their full firepower. Every energy weapon, every torpedo, every exotic device of destruction fired at once. The combined output was enough to crack the crust of a planet. All of it struck the Defiance harmlessly. The entropy field absorbed the incredible energy and converted it to perfect order. The human ship now blazed with power like a small star. "Thank you, Admiral," Captain Chen said calmly. "That will be quite enough energy for what comes next." Captain Chen stood calmly on the bridge of the Defiance, now blazing with absorbed energy from the alien fleet's weapons. The ship had taken enough firepower to destroy a dozen worlds, and every bit of that destructive force had been converted into pure, organized power. "Dr. Vasquez," she said quietly, "prepare the entropy wave." Elena's hands moved over her controls with practiced precision. "Captain, the energy we absorbed from their attacks has charged our systems to 200% capacity. We have more than enough power for a full deployment." "Excellent. Set the wave for non-organic matter only. I want their ships disabled, not their crews killed." "Understood, Captain. Configuring the wave to target only artificial materials and energy systems." Admiral Vexathai watched the human ship with growing dread. Something was happening. The vessel was changing, glowing brighter, and energy patterns unlike anything in their databases were building around it. "Science officer," he called out. "What are they doing?" The brain-cast alien studied his sensors with increasing alarm. "Admiral, they are preparing some kind of energy discharge. The patterns are unlike anything we have ever encountered. It appears to be based on the same technology that made them invulnerable to our attacks." "Weapons?" "Unknown, sir. But the energy readings are enormous. Whatever they are about to do, it will affect a large area of space." Captain Chen activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the captain. We are about to demonstrate humanity's defensive capability to the galaxy. What you are about to witness will end this conflict and ensure Earth's safety for generations to come." She turned to Dr. Vasquez. "Doctor, explain to the crew what the aliens are about to experience." Elena stood and addressed the bridge. "The same entropy manipulation that protects us can be projected outward as a wave. Instead of making destruction impossible around our ship, we can extend that field to cover other areas of space." Lieutenant Rodriguez looked confused. "Doctor, what effect will that have on the alien fleet?" "Think about what entropy reversal means," Elena explained. "Everything moves toward greater order instead of greater disorder. For living beings with environmental suits and life support, this is harmless. But for complex machines—" She paused to let them understand. "Their ships will age rapidly. Metal will fatigue and crumble. Electronic systems will experience years of wear in seconds. Fusion reactors will become unstable as their magnetic containment fields decay. In essence, their entire fleet will become old and brittle very quickly. But the crews will survive. Yes, the wave is precisely tuned to affect only non-living matter. We are not murderers. We are defenders." Captain Chen nodded approvingly. "Admiral Vexthai, this is your final warning. Withdraw your fleet immediately or face the consequences." The alien commander's response was filled with rage and desperation. "Impossible, humans! You cannot defeat the combined might of 12 species. We will find a way to destroy you." "As you wish, Admiral." Captain Chen turned to her weapons officer. "Fire!" The Defiance released the entropy wave in a sphere of invisible energy that expanded outward at the speed of light. To the naked eye, nothing seemed to happen. But on every sensor screen in both fleets, readings went wild as the fundamental laws of physics reversed themselves across millions of cubic kilometers of space. The wave struck the outer edge of the alien fleet first. The escort ships, already old by galactic standards, began to show the effects immediately. Hull metal that had been strong for centuries suddenly developed stress fractures. Electronic systems started failing as circuits aged decades in seconds. Admiral Vexathai watched in horror as his sensors showed ship after ship reporting critical failures. "Report! What is happening to the fleet?" "Admiral," the communications officer said, his voice shaking. "Ships are reporting massive system failures across the entire fleet. Hull breaches, power failures, life support systems going offline. How is this possible?" The science officer was frantically trying to understand the readings. "Sir, It appears that our ships are aging at an accelerated rate. The humans have somehow reversed entropy across the entire fleet area. Everything is moving toward maximum disorder very quickly. The wave continued to expand, reaching the heavy cruisers in the middle formations. These massive ships, some over 1,000 years old, had been maintained by the best engineers in the galaxy, but no maintenance could stand against the reversal of time itself. The World Breaker, Admiral Vexithai's flagship, was one of the newer vessels in the fleet, but even it began to show signs of rapid aging as the entropy wave reached the command. Formation. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as systems that had worked perfectly for centuries began to fail. "Engineering report!" Vexithai demanded. "Admiral, the main reactor is becoming unstable. Hull integrity is failing on decks 7 through 12. Life support is running on backup power. Across the vast alien fleet, 10,000 warships were rapidly becoming 10,000 pieces of space junk. The entropy wave affected every artificial system, every constructed material, every piece of technology the aliens had brought to conquer Earth. But true to Dr. Vasquez's design, not a single alien life was harmed. Environmental suits continued to function. Life support systems remained stable. The wave was precisely tuned to destroy machines while protecting living beings. Captain Chen opened a channel to the alien fleet. "Admiral Vexithai, your fleet is now disabled. Your ships are no longer capable of waging war. However, your crews are unharmed. This demonstrates both our power and our mercy." Admiral Vexithai looked around his bridge. Half the control stations were dark. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows across his crew's faces. His mighty flagship, pride of the hegemony fleet, was now barely able to maintain life support. "How?" he whispered. "How did you do this?" "We learned to make the universe work for us instead of against us," Captain Chen replied. "Your weapons created disorder, so we reversed entropy to create perfect order. Your ships were complex machines, so we accelerated their natural decay until they became simple debris." The alien admiral looked at his tactical display. The screen flickered and sparked, but he could still see the devastating truth. His fleet of 10,000 ships was now 10,000 floating wrecks. The largest invasion force in galactic history had been defeated by a single human vessel in less than 10 minutes. "What are your terms?" he asked quietly. "Simple, Admiral. Leave this system immediately. Spread word throughout the galaxy that Earth is under human protection. Any future aggression against humanity will be met with the same response." "And if we comply," Captain Chen's voice remained calm and professional, "then we will restore partial power to your ships, enough for you to return home safely. We have no desire to see your crews die in the void." Admiral Vexithai made the hardest decision of his long military career. The hegemony had never retreated, never admitted defeat, never shown weakness to the galaxy, but they had also never faced an enemy that could make war itself impossible. I accept your terms," he said slowly. "The hegemony fleet will withdraw from this system." "Excellent, Admiral. Stand by for partial restoration of your fleet." The Defiance generated a second entropy wave, this one carefully controlled to reverse some of the aging effects on the alien ships. Hulls strengthened just enough to hold together. Life support systems came back online. Engines sputtered too, life with barely enough power to leave the solar system. Admiral Vexithai watched his once mighty fleet limp away from Earth like wounded animals. Behind them, the small human ship maintained its position, blazing with power and ready to defend its homeworld against any threat. The age of hegemony conquest was over. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy was a very different place. The news of humanity's impossible victory had spread to every inhabited world, carried by the remnants of Admiral Vexithai's fleet and by faster-than-light communications across civilized space. The hegemony of Zephyria, which had ruled most of the galaxy for 1,000 years, was crumbling. Not from military defeat, Their armies remained strong on conquered worlds, but from something far more devastating: the loss of their reputation for invincibility. Admiral Vextai sat in his private quarters aboard a space station orbiting the hegemony capital world. His once mighty flagship, the Worldbreaker, was still being repaired in the orbital shipyards. The human entropy wave had aged the massive vessel by centuries in minutes, requiring complete reconstruction of most systems. A soft chime announced a visitor. Commander Zekon entered, his 6 arms carrying data tablets and reports. "Admiral, the Council requires your testimony again tomorrow. They still do not believe your account of the battle." Vextai laughed bitterly. "Of course they do not believe it. Who would? One human ship defeated 10,000 of our best vessels without firing a single conventional weapon. It sounds like madness." "The physical evidence supports your story. Admiral, every ship in the fleet shows signs of rapid aging consistent with your reports." "Yes, but the Council prefers to believe we encountered some kind of superweapon. Not that the humans have mastered the fundamental forces of the universe." Zekon set down his tablets and looked at his commander with concern. "Admiral, what do you think will happen to the hegemony?" Vextai walked to his window, looking out at the vast space station where representatives from 12 species tried to hold their empire together. "The hegemony was built on fear, old friend. Fear of our fleets, fear of our weapons, fear of our power to destroy any world that opposed us. But the humans have shown the galaxy something that fear cannot defeat." "What is that, Admiral?" "They have shown that war itself can be made obsolete. Think about it. What use are our great fleets when every weapon we fire only makes our enemies stronger? What good are our planet crackers when the enemy can reverse time itself?" Across the galaxy, similar conversations were taking place on worlds throughout hegemony space. Species that had been conquered centuries ago were beginning to ask uncomfortable questions. If the mighty hegemony could be defeated by a single ship, perhaps freedom was possible after all. On Earth, Captain Sarah Chen stood in the conference room of Earth Defense Headquarters, addressing representatives from every nation on the planet. The room was filled with world leaders, military officials, and scientists, all trying to understand what humanity had accomplished. "The demonstration was successful beyond our expectations," she reported. "The alien fleet has withdrawn from our solar system and spread word of our capabilities throughout their empire. Early intelligence suggests that the hegemony is facing internal rebellions on several worlds." President Martinez of the European Federation raised her hand. "Captain, what is our current defensive status?" "The Defiance remains on patrol at the edge of our system. We have begun construction of 3 additional entropy-equipped vessels, though Dr. Vasquez estimates it will take 2 years to complete them with our current resources." Dr. Vasquez stood to address the assembly. "I want to emphasize that our entropy technology is still in its early stages. What we demonstrated against the alien fleet was powerful, but it represents only a fraction of what may be possible." "What do you mean, Doctor?" asked General Thompson of the North American Alliance. "The entropy field we used was relatively crude, a simple reversal of natural decay processes. We are working on more sophisticated applications. Imagine being able to reverse entropy on a planetary scale, restoring damaged ecosystems to perfect health, or using controlled entropy manipulation for manufacturing, creating materials with properties that should be impossible." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They had built the technology to defend Earth, but it might also revolutionize human civilization. Meanwhile, in a small observation post on the edge of the solar system, an alien ship waited and watched. Captain Thys of the Free Traders Alliance had been observing Earth for weeks, trying to understand these remarkable humans. Unlike the hegemony, the Free Traders were a peaceful confederation of species dedicated to commerce and cultural exchange. They had remained neutral during the hegemony's expansion, trading with all sides and avoiding military conflicts. Science Officer Kellum, Captain Theiss called to her colleague, "Have you completed your analysis of the human battle?" Kelm, a being that resembled a walking plant, rustled his leaves thoughtfully. "Yes, Captain. The humans' entropy manipulation technology is unlike anything in our databases. It appears to be based on principles that our greatest scientists declared impossible. Could we develop similar technology? Unlikely. The mathematics involved are beyond our current understanding. The humans have made a breakthrough that may take other species centuries to achieve." Captain Theiss made a decision that would change galactic history. "Open a channel to Earth. Let them know we wish to establish peaceful contact." The response came from the Defiance itself. Captain Chen appeared on their screen looking calm and professional. "This is Captain Chen of Earth Defense. You are not part of the Hegemony Fleet. State your intentions." "Captain Chen, I am Theiss of the Free Traders Alliance. We represent over 40 species dedicated to peaceful commerce and cultural exchange. We have no hostile intentions toward Earth." "Why are you here, Captain Theiss?" "We wish to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. Your recent demonstration has shown the galaxy that a new power has emerged. We believe it would be beneficial for all species if that power chose the path of peace rather than conquest." Sarah considered this carefully. Earth had prepared for invasion, but not for diplomacy. "Captain Theiss, I will relay your request to Earth's leaders. If you truly come, in peace you are welcome to establish formal contact." And so began humanity's first diplomatic relationship with alien species. Over the following months, representatives from dozens of non-hegemony worlds arrived at Earth. They came not as conquerors or threats, but as equals seeking friendship and trade. The galaxy learned that humans possessed not just incredible technology, but something equally valuable: restraint. Despite having the power to conquer any world they chose, humans showed no interest in empire building. They defended themselves when threatened, but offered aid and friendship to those who approached peacefully. Dr. Vasquez often worked late in her laboratory, continuing to refine humanity's understanding of entropy manipulation. One evening, as she reviewed data from the battle, a young assistant asked her a question that had puzzled many people. "Doctor, why didn't we share this technology with other species? We could have prevented the hegemony from conquering anyone." Elena looked up from her calculations, considering the question carefully. "Because we developed this technology to defend Earth, not to reshape the galaxy. Power, even power used for good intentions, corrupts. Better to let other species find their own paths to freedom." "But surely we could help them. We are helping them," Elena replied with a smile. "By showing them that the hegemony can be defeated, we have given every oppressed world something more valuable than weapons: hope." Across the galaxy, that hope was spreading. The hegemony found itself fighting rebellions on dozens of worlds. Their fleets, once invincible, now seemed vulnerable. If humans could defeat them so easily, perhaps they were not as strong as they appeared. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Chen received daily reports of hegemony forces withdrawing from contested systems. World after world was declaring independence, inspired by Earth's example. "Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the hegemony capital. It's Admiral Vextai." "Put him through." The alien admiral appeared, on screen, looking older and more tired than when they had first met in battle. "Captain Chen, I have a proposal for you." "I'm listening, Admiral." "The Hegemony Council has authorized me to offer Earth a position in our government. Join us, and we can rule the galaxy together. Your entropy technology, combined with our fleets, would be unstoppable." Sarah's response was immediate and firm. "Admiral, Earth has no interest in ruling anyone. We defend ourselves and help our friends. That is enough. But think of what we could accomplish. Peace through strength. Order throughout the galaxy. Admiral, True peace cannot be built on fear. The galaxy is changing, with or without the hegemony. You can change with it, or be left behind. Vextai's image flickered and died. In the months that followed, the hegemony continued to crumble. As species after species chose independence over oppression, Earth, meanwhile, became the center of a new kind of galactic community, a place where different species could meet as equals, where problems were solved through cooperation rather than conquest, and where the most powerful military technology in the galaxy was used only for defense. Dr. Vasquez had been right about one thing: their entropy manipulation technology was still in its infancy. In her private notes, she recorded her latest breakthrough, the ability to reverse entropy on a massive scale, potentially restoring entire dead worlds to life.